Welcome to Mindflow Radio.
Mindflow Radio.
She's Jalen.
And he's Monty.
So buckle your seatbelts and get ready to take a trip towards reality.
So what's reality?
That's a great question.
That is the exploration.
What is reality?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, from a physics perspective, reality boils down to vibration.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's that.
So we all just disappear into the wave of frequency and vibration and
well, material reality is definitely kind of an illusion of sorts that we cling to as like ultimate reality. We tend to cling to physical reality.
Yeah.
As like the ultimate reality.
Yeah.
But
we've been taught to.
Well, right. Well, of course. Well,
we feel it's
throughout
really
humankind. Throughout the ages, that's been the vibe. Mm-hmm. But now, with advanced physics and the way what's happening with quantum physics and all that, it's beginning to really indicate that ultimate reality is not this physical reality. It's kind of like classical physics is based on physical reality. Mm-hmm. You push something in one direction and you can calculate how far it's going to go, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's called classical physics. And like 100 years ago, they're like, okay, we've solved physics. Now we can stop. Don't even go into physics because we've answered it.
Yeah.
But then came quantum physics.
Yeah.
And the double slit experiment, which was over 100 years ago, which strongly indicated that through observing a photon, you change the behavior of the photon. Mm-hmm. It stops moving as a wave and it starts moving in a straight line. You collapse the waveform of the photon by just noticing it. And that experiment is something that physicists are still grappling with. And they've replicated it many, 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 many times in many, many different ways.
Nice.
Yeah. In some ways that even bring in a time component to it, which I don't know, I have to study that more before I can talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, it's all this really, it all leads to this idea that our minds are just really our
attention.
Where we place our attention, it changes
reality.
Yeah. It certainly does. And so to be choosy with where we place our attention, that's one of the lessons, and to be humble, right? All these physicists are, we know what's what, it's like, no, we don't actually, but maybe we're like leaning into understanding reality right now more than we have been. Mm-hmm. That seems to be the case. But it's pretty exciting. But we were going to talk about a quote from the book.
Yeah. The quantum future.
Quantum future. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Finding more clarity and balance in our individual minds would substantially improve our collective behavior.
Yes.
So what does that mean to you?
Finding more clarity and balance. Can you read it again?
Yeah. Finding more clarity and balance in our individual minds would substantially improve our collective behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what that says to me is that what I do is really important for how my culture evolves.
Yeah. Well, what your mind does.
Right.
I would suggest.
And I'm kind of in charge of my mind, kind of.
Well, that's all this training you're doing in the Qigong and meditation.
Yeah.
You're that's a tricky question. How in control of our minds can we be?
Right. That seems to boil down, because if you can have clarity and balance, then you probably have control of your mind somewhat. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think the bottom line too is if we don't have any control over our minds, other people will tell us what to think and do.
Mm-hmm.
Other people's minds will control our
collective mind.
Well,
right?
Yeah, well, there's different, the collective mind is, the collective unconscious, the collective conscious mind, like we're all connected in some ways,
Mm-hmm.
our thoughts. But I would suggest that there's different levels of the collective unconscious.
Yeah.
There's like the shadow state, the shadow collective, which...
It's probably the biggest.
Well, I don't know about that. It's pretty popular nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's just a specific frequency that we can tune into in our minds. And if we don't find clarity and balance in our minds, if we have no clarity or very little clarity in our minds, we tend to gravitate towards a lower frequency, which is the shadow collective, which encourages hatred and fear, self-righteous anger, victim stancing, hatred towards others. It's almost as if in the shadow state, part of the shadow philosophy is like hatred is a positive thing, that if we can really tap into our hatred, then we can change the world for the better. That's kind of the...
That's the oxymoron.
Yeah. Well,
contradiction.
It's a contradiction, yeah. But it's throughout the ages, people use that philosophy to manipulate the masses.
Yes,
I would suggest.
Absolutely.
If we can fear and hate those other people, then we can be easily controlled.
Which brings up, if we can individually find clarity and balance, then we exit stage left.
Right.
This control.
Right. Yeah, we're not so easily manipulated. The bottom line of not having clarity, not having balance, and really tapping into hatred and self-righteous anger and all that is that it's blinding to us. Mm-hmm. That's a blinding perspective, in the sense that we're unable to see all the variables of a situation because we're so honed in on the negative, the hatred. Mm-hmm. So it's like walking around with blinders on.
Yeah.
So we can't see the entire picture if we're tapped into that shadow collective, and therefore we're easier to manipulate.
Mm-hmm. And we feel like we're the victim.
Well, right. And that's part of the shadow collective. And as we walk around with our blinders, we can't see the entire picture. So of whatever situation.
And honestly, there is no way to see the entire picture, even with clarity and balance.
Well,
and there's humility in that.
Absolutely. I would suggest that part of having clarity and balance and seeing is understanding that we're limited in what we can
perceive.
Yeah, that's right. But that being said, we can expand our limited awareness if we're not all caught up in shadow hatred. Hatred is a way to really narrow our awareness and which is
and justify the narrow focus.
Oh yeah,
too. On top of it, which is just compiling pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Because first there's a limited perspective, and then there's justification for the limited perspective.
Yeah.
And so there's not a willingness to expand beyond that, because it's like, well, why would I expand my consciousness? Because this person did this to me, and therefore I don't need to expand my consciousness.
Right. And there's also a fear of expanding consciousness because, if we begin stepping out of the shadow and expressing that, people can get angry at us.
There's that too.
So there's like, I don't really want to step out of this because
right, yeah.
Because then this hate group, is going to point its hate at me,
and
do what it can to like destroy me or whatever that is, whatever that means.
I have to add the crab bucket analogy because it fits so perfectly in what you just said. And there's an idea, and honestly, I am not a crab fisherman, so I can't completely vouch for this. But supposedly, when someone's out catching crabs, they don't need to put a lid on it because the other crabs will pull down any crabs that try to get out because they're like, oh no, you're not getting out of here. If I'm not getting out of here, you're not getting out of here. And that's exactly what you just said. You know, the shadow collective is like a crab bucket where if you step out of it or you attempt to step out of it, you're pulled back in and guilted in, shamed in, like how could you attempt to get out of this?
Right. And maybe that's a good reason to, if you find yourself stuck in shadow and victim stancing and all that perhaps trying to step out of it, but just silently, just internally.
Yes.
And
that's where I was going to go. Because the clarity and balance, right? There's clarity. If you think about, two things just popped in my mind. The clarity of water, you know, when water becomes clear, it becomes still. And in that time, you can see deeper into the floor of the lake or whatever you're looking at. The other thing that went through my mind is clarified butter, which separates the fats and the liquids. It basically boils off the liquids. So clarifying butter turns it to ghee, and then it's kind of shelf stable and works just like butter, but it's boiled off the water.
Yeah.
So I think that both of those analogies are kind of interesting when you think about how can I become clear?
Yeah.
And it is a silent choice, it's almost like you're in that crab bucket or I'm in that crab bucket and I attempted to climb out, someone pinched my leg and I'm back in.
Yeah.
And there's this new strategy that appears in my mind, and it is just become still and just be the witness. And so that desire to then change from joining the collective judgment then becomes, well, I can be here with your judgment and not join your judgment.
Yeah. Certainly. I mean, and what you're talking about is developing agency too, in which if we're stuck in shadow, let's face it, we don't have much agency. We're kind of just in this lower vibration and just we sort of do what we're told in a way, unless we're one of the tellers. Then we control people by telling them what to do.
Yeah.
There's that.
The power seat.
Yeah, right. But clarity. I mean, and one of the benefits of finding more clarity, it's not like, boom, you throw a switch and everything is clear, but just finding moments of clarity in the mind is just so beneficial because it empowers the mind to relax. And we live in a culture of overthinkers. We live in a culture of just like overindulging in media and just all this data flying into our minds. So that really impedes our clarity and
gives us indigestion of the mind.
Well, it's like a storm.
Some people
it's
really
a storm
literally
in our mind.
indigestion.
Well, if your mind is a storm of rage and victim stancing and stress and there's no way out and there's no hope. And
there's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons to fall into that. There's no way out and there's no hope.
Oh, right. Well, right. And in reality, though, the reality of the situation is that we're all just spiritual beings having this temporary human experience. So there's actually no need for hope because everything's going to be okay.
Right. I love that.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and then if I'm able to see that about myself, I can see that in others, and it just lets my mind relax and have more clarity. And I'm not saying if I see somebody doing something terrible, it doesn't mean I'm not going to intervene because I'll do what I can to help people, you know, but I'm not going to be ruminating about that all day, hopefully.
Yeah, the rumination is pretty much the opposite of clarity.
Well, it is the opposite of clarity. And yeah, rumination just leads to anxiety because you're overworking your mind. Your mind is not designed to be a computer just running data all day. And the mind has been designed to have moments of just connectedness with nature. And you can do that anywhere, by the way. You could be in a prison cell and just connect with nature through meditation. I mean...
Yeah. And then my mind visualizes the crab bucket. You can do it in the crab bucket, too. And that's the way out, you know?
Yeah.
And because it's not the literal climbing out. It's the shifting into observation and... quiet, letting the mind settle down.
Yeah, right. And I guess the first step is just even pondering, what would it be like if my mind was more settled? Well, what would that feel like? I wonder, you know? So that's like step one in...
So contemplation on clarity.
Sure, absolutely. It's so critically important for our psychological wellness. And that's a component of psychological wellness that most people don't talk about. Most of the experts don't talk about, you know, but it's probably the key component for people to feel better in this culture in particular. You know, you have those moments of clarity, boom. And if you can actually say, I want some clarity and achieve it, then you feel empowered. Then you have agency.
Yeah.
Then you have naturally, if you're empowered, you have less depression, less anxiety. And then you have more clarity. And it's like, okay, well, I'm not happy with this culture. I think it needs to evolve. What can I do to help this culture evolve? So pointing our attention at solutions rather than fighting the
status quo.
Yeah, or fighting the empire as like the solution. You know, it's like, oh, my solution is just to be full of hatred and promote that, you know, and I get it. I understand that perspective, but I just don't think it's very effective, especially when probably the powers that be, the ultimate, you know, leaders of the empire, whoever they are, you know, want us to fight amongst ourselves. That's the bottom line. So as we're fighting amongst ourselves, the ones who are truly in charge of a lot of our culture, our society, or the world even, they're like glad about it. You know, they're like, oh, they're fighting amongst themselves. Oh, they'll never even look at us because they think they're fighting, both sides are fighting the good fight when actually both sides are just, you know. I think if we're fighting the good fight, it's an internal process of
clarifying.
Yeah. And like, you got to, you know, taking a look at our behavior. Do I look at the screen too much? That's like, that could be a big step towards finding clarity. You know, we have moments of time in our lives when we can be like, oh, I can like look at the clouds or hear the birds, or I could be staring at my screen and listening to somebody rambling or whatever. So, I mean, it begins by us having agency over our habits and developing just better habits, more productive habits of living, you know, just day to day. Let's be more productive, and let's not just fall into the status quo thinking and status quo behavior that but I mean, if you're happy in the status quo, just stay there. I mean, really, it's just...
Well, yeah, I feel like the desire to find clarity and balance is an inner restlessness of there's got to be more. There's got to be more to this. So, and that's another piece of this, because it is an individual journey.
Yeah.
So one person decides, I really just want to have more peace in my mind, and I'm going to just watch the clouds for the moment.
Yeah.
And the thing that I've seen over my years of training and learning with others is that once we have a little bit of clarity, there can be a sense of I'm better than other people. And how could they not want to wake up? And so there's also this maturing that happens that says if the other person doesn't want to wake up, that's okay.
Well, and the maturing of just like introspection. Have I woken up?
Right. Like, am I awake at this moment?
Yeah, am I awake? I mean, I'll talk about myself. I would say, no, but I'm trying to.
Yeah.
I have moments of being awake, perhaps every day.
Yeah.
Most days, moments. I try to walk on that path, but am I awake? No. I mean, I was born into this culture, just like brainwashed from an early age, finding comfort in front of the TV and, and just all that. So, I mean, for myself, it's been something I've been working on certainly for the last 30 years, on and off, more on than off for sure.
Yeah.
I just remember I think it was the late 80s, walking down the street in Milwaukee, looking at all this skyscrapers. And I just had this realization, we're all brainwashed. I was like, oh man, so that's what's going on. We're all brainwashed. I was just like, all these, including myself, And it's like...
So would you read the quote one more time?
Yes.
For us? And this is out of The Quantum Future.
Yeah, The Quantum Future. It's available on...
Amazon.
There you go. Ebooks available too. Okay. Finding more clarity and balance in our individual minds would substantially improve our collective behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we lack in balance and clarity, our collective behavior tends to be pretty warring and pretty selfish, and just not very empathetic and not very compassionate, I would say.
Yeah. And we have more in store. We're going to continue to visit The Quantum Future because it's out, it's available, and it's a message to humanity to ask, am I awake? And how can I be more awake?
Yeah, it's full of, there's a bunch of skills that are in the book that can help people to find that psychological balance and health. I mean, step one, right? Yeah. I mean, and other things in the book. And I was talking to somebody recently, and we talked about how books are actually just packets of energy. And that's just, I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Well, just like everything is a packet of energy, actually, but books and art and music, they're these more intense packets of energy. And so just from that perspective, that's kind of a cool way of looking at the quantum future, I think.
Yeah. Quantum Future is a human-made book by Lamont McFerrin, our very own Monty. And I just simply request, if this was interesting to you, please share with a friend.
Yeah, and like it and subscribe.
Yeah. And we'll be back in a week with another quote from the book and some discussion with me and Monty. And have a great week.
Yeah. Peace and love.